Well, folks. Werewolves, lycanthropes, wolfmen, lichens, several different other names for them in several different other languages. But the whole point is, folks, werewolves have been a part of movie culture, mythology culture, and TV show culture for many, many years. Hello, and welcome back to Orange Hat. We are back with theme streams after my last week's little vacay with family. Hope you're all doing well. I have some overlays for you, like I did with the vampire stream. And before I get started, let's say hello to the chat. We got Vanya, we got Geek Archivist Pierce, and Neozoic. Good to see you. Are not good or often. It's hit and miss. I fully agree that some are hit and miss, but there are some that I actually thought were pretty good. And those are the ones that I will be talking about, as well as some that might not be as good. However, I saw the werewolf that they have for The Howling. A lot of people say that The Howling is a good werewolf movie. I haven't gotten able to watching The Howling, got around to actually watching it, so it's not going to be a part of it. However, I did take one look at that werewolf suit that they have for The Howling, and I gotta say, folks, that kind of looked like a rabbit-eared werewolf. I mean, those fucking ears are like this tall on the person. It's like, what is that thing? Annoyed that turned into a werewolf? I mean, honestly. So yeah, The Howling, based on the werewolf aesthetic, I'm hoping the story will give a little bit better, or will make the experience a little bit better when I watch it later this month. Because honestly, werewolf looked ridiculous. But let's get into the werewolves. I'm not as familiar with the ones from TV compared to the ones from our film werewolves. Anyone here know of any? I'm only going to be covering one TV show type of werewolf because it's one that is more fresh in my head than, and also because I haven't watched any other ones that had TV show werewolves. But the one I have watched, Vampire Diaries. And let's see here. These are the werewolves from Vampire Diaries. Now, I covered Vampire Vampires 2 weeks ago, last episode of the weekly recap. And they basically covered how they were different from normal vampires. They were created through magic, as were werewolves. They were also created through magic. But these ones basically hold true to some mythologies of werewolves, where if they bite a vampire, it can kill a vampire. And then we also get into the whole hybrid theory and the hybrid stuff that goes on. We're skipping out on hybrids. I don't have pictures of hybrids. My apologies. Although the hybrids are interesting. But the ones when they introduced vampires into Vampire Diaries, or when they introduced werewolves into Vampire Diaries, my mistake, sorry about that. I gotta say, it was an interesting take because it showed how these people who are inflicted with lycanthropy, it's not a good life for them. It really isn't. Which werewolves in any fiction is the worst in your opinion? And I saw the latest design that Orange mentioned for that Wolfman film. Oh dear Lord, yeah, that. Ugh, I'm not even going there. Not even going there. That thing was ugly. But which one was the worst werewolves in any fiction? I would say the shapeshifters from Twilight. How they continue to be humongous wolves and whatnot. And I'm like, look, I get it. There are some Native American wolf stories and whatnot and spirits and such, but that was just, for me, kind of weird. Also, yes, American Werewolf in Paris. Those werewolves, the digital designs for them really were not good. Ginger Snap werewolves, as much as I like the Ginger Snap movies, the werewolf design was kind of out there. But getting into the ones that I do like the Vampire Diaries one, it doesn't kill the vampire immediately. That venom from the werewolf venom getting into a vampire system, it actually works through their system in a way and slowly kills them, making them hallucinate, making them extremely hungry but unable to really help themselves. They just go essentially nuts, but they also get weaker as it spreads. And it really is uh an interesting thing. But when it comes to the transformations, their arms and bones are breaking to reform into the anatomy of a werewolf. Their arms and or their body is in constant pain as they are changing as the moon crests and whatnot. Here's Blue Elf Wolf. Yeah, it does look awful. But the ones in Vampire Diaries, from going from man to wolf, first off, you trigger it by killing somebody if you have the werewolf gene. The thing is, changing into a werewolf is extremely painful, as I said. If you or that's why most people who were werewolves tried not to trigger the gene. And it just goes to show you that you don't want it. You may have that strength, you may have that cool athleticism, but it comes at a price. And then if you're a hybrid, you lose your sense of free will unless you learn to break a sire bond, which means you actually have to go out there and change at will until it doesn't hurt. You need to break your bones over and over and over and over in order to actually break a sire bond. Because, yeah, that will end up being to your detriment because you have no free will. Best werewolf design, in my opinion, is in my overlays. I will show you as I continue. It will be revealed, Neozoic. So definitely stay tuned because it will be going. But yes, Vampire Diaries, the only TV show werewolf that I got. Now, when it comes to good designs, this was an interesting design. It's not the best one. The best one is coming up. This is from Skinwalkers, folks. Skinwalkers is a movie that isn't very well known. However, some people may have heard of it. It's about werewolves that are some are trying to stay peaceful people. Some are give into it or give into that animal side, and others they don't know how to handle it. Where in this movie, those who are not or who see it as a curse, they lock themselves up. They go down into their basements with all these lockups, gloves that they put on to stop their claw or to keep their claws safe. They are essentially locked up as much as they can be in order to not hurt anybody. Because if you feed while in werewolf form, you then become a person who gives into it. If you give in and feed, you will essentially lose your humanity. You become a killer. You become a person who absolutely loves being a werewolf. You give into it. And this movie does a very good job at showing the werewolves and doing the makeup and whatnot. They do have digital enhancement for some of the werewolf looks. Although isn't Skinwalker more of a witch than a werewolf? In Navajo culture, I don't know the full. I do not know the full Native American, the Native American legends to Skinwalkers. By the movies, though, however, it's not just wolves either. They can become any sort of creature, really. What would you say is the best werewolf movie? Best werewolf movie is definitely, I would say, Silver Bullet. I absolutely love Silver Bullet. It's simple, it goes, or it's to the point, and it works very well. What about Underworld designs? I will get to them, folks. You will see familiar designs here. You just got to be patient, please. But yes, getting back to the designs, Skinwalkers, that is actually, I do like that design. It shows that it is a blend of human and beast, where you also have others that are of man beasts as well, such as the Wolfman. Now, I use this Wolfman, which is the Benicio del Toro one, because, well, yeah, I like the Benicio del Toro theatrical version. I do not like the extended version. Now, if there was a way to blend the extended version parts to the theatrical version, where they actually do not have the beginning of the extended, where Emily Blunt visits Benicio del Toro, take that out, the extended version is a lot better, because the beginning of the extended version has her visiting him, and it doesn't work because in the extended version he goes back home to Blackmore, and it's like, I got a letter from my brother's wife or fiance, and it's like, she visited you though. That doesn't make sense. So they kind of screwed the pooch on that, you know? And it really does harm a story if you have a major inconsistency, especially one when you are doing theatrical versus a extended edition. Now, getting to the more traditional beast looking, or man beasts, Van Helsing is a good, or had some good, hold on one moment. I got to take away the logo. There we go. Now you can see the man beasts. So the first one is the werewolf that that was in the beginning. The second one is the Velkin werewolf. And the third one is the Van Helsing werewolf. Velkin werewolf was, I like the brown of it. The grayish one had a good, or was also pretty cool. Rockstar Van Helsing black werewolf, total drama queen. I mean, I loved it, but or especially after he transforms and he's just, or his face just goes like, I'm going to kill you now. And then, because you see how that immediate rage as he's walking up to Dracula, and Dracula's trying to make his case, but you just see him going, and it's like, oh my God, this thing's ready to go and wanting to kill. So, yeah. Now, this werewolf from Silver Bullet. Oh, before we get to this, the Van Helsing werewolves. The one that I liked is that it has to, or it can only be killed by silver bullets. And also, following the same rules of this one, it can only, or it can kill a vampire, because only a werewolf can kill a vampire in this mythology. Let's see what the comments are. Opinions on Werewolf or Werewolf by Night. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it at all. By that time, I had written off the MCU. So I haven't seen Werewolf by Night. Getting to better versions or better werewolf stories. This is my favorite werewolf story. Not the best design, but it still works. It's a design that still works. However, the story being straight to the point, going through time, they do a good job at showing how some time goes by, but they don't really do the best job of it. The best werewolf design, however, is this one. Best werewolf design I have ever seen. It's absolutely terrifying. It works. American Werewolf in London did such a great job. That movie, when I first watched it, stuck in my head for the longest time. Because it wasn't so much that the movie was good. It was more of the fact that I can improve upon this movie. I can actually do a better job in certain scenes because you see glimpses, real quick cuts of the monster, and then or until near the end where you actually get the full-blown look of the monster and whatnot. However, when the chase scene in the subway is going and you see this guy just running through a subway, an empty subway, and then as he's getting there to the escalators, that's when you see the glimpse of the werewolf, and it's like, I'm sorry, but how did that werewolf get there that quick? Especially if it was just slowly stalking him. So yeah, I would have had shots where it's looking down that hallway that goes like this, longer, and then like this. As he's getting ready to round that corner, they would cut back and show the paw coming in, and then the wolf's or just a barrel or a small, like half a second cut of the werewolf's head peeking around to know that the wolf is still on his tail, you know? And so many other things too. Favorite video game werewolves. Have you ever played Metal Gear Solid 3? Now, favorite werewolf transformations. You are going off with questions, dude. You got to give me a chance to get to them. But favorite video game werewolves. There's a story in Metal Gear Solid 3 where he's having a dream, and he's suddenly just tearing people apart as a guy with hook swords, but also turns into a werewolf. That one was pretty much my favorite. As for transformations, let's see here. Transformations. I would say that some of them, because this one, his skin just peels off and he ends up pulling his feet off. This one is extremely violent because it shows body contortions. These ones, they don't really show the transformations. This one shows how the body contorts a little bit here and there with extension of muzzle face. This one was also extremely brutal. You see the more painful transformations of this. But if anything, I gotta say that this one was probably my favorite transformation. As bad as the CGI and stuff was, the Wolfman had the best transformation. As for hey, RPM Nitro, hello there, good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Also, folks, make sure that you smash that like button. It helps get the channel notified or noticed. I keep on getting messaged by people. But anyway, getting back to it, one of my favorite werewolves is William Corvinus from Underworld. Now, you had the more cat-like lichens from the original. I don't have those, but I have my favorite werewolf from the Underworld, which is William Corvinus. In my opinion, William Corvinus was done dirty because they have him in the beginning, they have him at the end. Oh, they didn't give him enough time to shine, in my opinion. So if they could go back and actually do a movie in Underworld that showed like Underworld Origins, where it shows Corvinus, Alexander Corvinus, his son Marcus, and his son William, the transformation of their bodies into immortals. And then Alexander banishing them due to their afflictions. It would be so freaking great, you know? But yes, when it comes to this is like the perfect werewolf pose, the perfect werewolf shot, because William couldn't control his savagery. However, there is a recognition or a part of his mind that does recognize friend from foe, where his brother Marcus goes in there and it's like, no, William, stop. It's me, brother. He stops. William actually stops. It's only his or Marcus that could actually control him, or that can actually give him pause. In the beginning of the movie, William was going completely nuts because he was fighting against vampires and his brother shows up. He's confused. He doesn't know why his brother is there and letting this happen to him. When it comes to the Underworld movies, folks, I look at the psychology of the situation, the mindset of what's going on in all characters. Amelia and Victor basically conspired to overrule Marcus. They would never kill Marcus because of the legend that if they killed him, they all die. But they would keep Marcus in check and far away from William. And William he would only ever listen to Marcus. But he is also an uncontrollable beast. They can never go back to human form until they were killed. But yeah, when it came to that design of William Corvinus, oh, what do I prefer? Either werewolf or wolfman? Honestly, they both mean the same thing, so it doesn't really matter. Were or where or werewolf means man wolf in I believe in Anglo-Saxon. It's the original tale of the wolf man, or a man wolf, or a man who becomes a wolf. But yeah, it's of the Anglo-Saxon, I believe. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. But yeah, when it comes to William Corvinus, I just seriously wish that they had fleshed him out. He is by far my favorite werewolf, period. This one is this one is my favorite look of a werewolf because it shows brilliant savagery. This is scary, folks. The look of this werewolf leaves you no doubt that this is a terrifying creature that will kill you. Now, getting to other ones, the Dog Soldiers. Dog Soldiers is also is one of the best werewolf movies out there. However, I prefer this this movie over Dog Soldiers, because Dog Soldiers, while good, don't get me wrong, it's a great fucking film. Me and Mara discussed it in singles, and you can find that in the singles playlist on my channel, our discussion of it. But with these guys, you can only kill them through or with silver. Not just a silver bullet, but anything that is silver can kill them. And that's basically the truth of the legend, or the origin of the legend of werewolves from the Wolfman from Universal, where anything that is made of silver, or a stick with a silver handle, or a silver stake, a silver bullet, that is what kills a werewolf. Something in the silver makes them, or essentially lifts the curse. Where this one can die by any method. You can shoot it and it will die. Same with these guys. They can be torn apart, shot and killed and whatnot. Silver bullet only for this one. Silver bullet only for this one. These ones, anything can kill them. Silver only can kill this one. Silver harms them, is fatal to them, but you can also kill them by any other method, or you can also kill them through brute force. This one, silver. And so on and so forth. But when it comes to the dog soldiers, these things were just so freaking great because the name is sort of misleading. Soldiers go into the woods fighting a bunch, or end up fighting a bunch of freaking werewolves. But the werewolves aren't soldiers. You know, they want to make them soldiers. They want to capture one of these guys and essentially turn it into an asset, so to speak. A lot of problems with that kind of a thought process, if you ask me. But yeah, hold on one second. When it comes to these boys, they were savage. And I liked how this movie didn't skimp on guts and intestines and stuff, because when you're doing a movie with werewolves, you can't be afraid to show that level of graphic violence. These are creatures that will slice you up. These are creatures that will disembowel you. These are creatures that will eviscerate you. You can't be afraid to show a certain level of trauma to the body, you know? But yeah, Dog Soldiers, great movie. I absolutely loved it. The design was pretty cool. However, you can also see the flaw in the design, because at the time of the movie being made, you see how the head and neck are humongous, right? They didn't have the same, or it was around the same time as this movie coming out. However, this movie was a better budget. So they had to basically have a micro budget with these guys when they were doing Dog Soldiers. But they also didn't want to rip off the full-on wolf form of William Corvinus. Now, if I can, hold on one minute, folks. I will actually try to pull up the underworld lichen differences. Because there is actual differences in or between lichens and werewolves, where in Underworld, William is a werewolf. His spawn are werewolves. Where Lucian, he is a lichen. And his spawn are lichens. So that's another thing that I thought they did a good job with. Alrighty, well. Let's see here. How big is this? Well, let's see if we can open image. Damn it. That would have done it perfectly. Let's see here. Oh. Let's see here. I'm trying to find a comparative video or picture, folks, that goes side by side with each other, or with the lichens, because there is key differences with them. I mean, well, I might as well actually share my screen to really show you guys, because this is basically, I mean, there's nothing really to, yeah. I mean, let's see here. This essentially is basically what I'm getting. You got, this is a lichen from, I believe, Underworld 1, where, let's see here, Underworld 2 Lycans were hairier. Then you had Underworld 3 Werewolves, which looked like William's progeny. I mean, as much as I love the Underworld movies, yeah, these are all, or these forms all right here are essentially the same thing, because the hairy ones in Underworld 2 were essentially werewolves, not lycans, because these ones were turned by William. But then they did in the third movie, William's Pestilence, they went to William's design, but with dark hair instead, and William was the white wolf. So essentially, those are the key differences, folks. You had the more cat-like lycans, or cat-designed like lycans. Then you had the ones that were a little bit more hairier. That would be the normal lycans. But during the time of Underworld 2's movie, they were werewolves. And then those werewolves would later take on William's looks in Underworld 3. As much as I like the Underworld movies are the most inconsistent due to the fact of changing designs over each movie. Who is scarier, werewolves or vampires? Well, vampires can come after you anytime that it is night out, unless you are going by the vampire legends that daylight doesn't really have too much of a problem or too much of a hold on them. Werewolves can come after you depending on the type of legend. They can transform at will, like the lycans in Underworld, where the moon or more powerful lycans are not affected by the full moon. I mean, they are, but they can change at will. Where if you're going by the full or the original legend, only once a month for like 3 days, as the full moon takes form for like 2 days or 2 to 3 nights, the full moon hits, then the full moon, and then the full moon wane. Wax full moon, wane, or full moon, waning full moon. So, as the moon gets fuller, the guy gets wolfier. As the wrong one. As this one is, maybe he can turn all the time. Only as the moon gets wolfier, as the moon gets fuller, the guy gets wolfier. Where he basically is, there's no rev and low at all, only the monster, which was a great line in that film. But yeah, folks, when it comes to werewolves, or werewolves or vampires, it all depends on the legend. I mean, me personally, if I could be one or the other, probably it depends on my mood. You know what? Make me a fucking hybrid. There you go. Hybrid make. Kind of like Michael Corvin, where he had the virus inside of him that was the immortal virus, the virus immortalis. And, it's because of his specific genome that he could perfectly blend vampire and lycan. And, that basically made him more dangerous because of his lineage. Alexander Corvinus, as an immortal, they said, he was the most powerful immortal. Yet he didn't pose much of a threat against his sons. Now, it would be awesome if they, in fact, did show like an Underworld Origins, where they could show him in his prime, where he is honestly kicking the shit out of both Michael and Marcus, or William and Marcus, because it'd be like he is, or even though he doesn't have any monstrosities in him, he is still more powerful than they are. there is so much potential to the Underworld movies, folks. I feel that they should actually turn it into an anime form, because there is the cartoon show that they had of Underworld, the limited run series, where Selene was hunting a Lycan, or a couple of Lycan brothers. But I would love to see a medium that is more consistent and also goes from the time of Alexander Corvinus to the ending where Selene is then full circle dubbed an elder to the vampires. I would absolutely love to see that, because yeah, if they have a more consistent medium, if they're not planning it as they go along, and they had their plans all already ironed out before they do the movies, kind of like what they're doing with the Highlander reboot, I believe that you would have a better franchise because of full planning, kind of like what George Lucas did with 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6. He had the rough edges, or he had the story already ready. He then ironed out the kinks during filming, and then he did the editing and then the editing further. Episodes 1, 2, and 3, same thing. He had the story planned out, which was why it largely remained consistent. If you were to do that, True Blood Werewolves are good. Robert Patrick. Honestly, I never got into the True Blood stuff yet, because I didn't get into True Blood too much because I didn't like the show. After the second season, where it was nothing but a bunch of just orgious bullshit, it's like, come on now, man. I mean, the first season was twisted enough where Anna Paquin fucks her vampire boyfriend just as he comes out of the fucking dirt. I mean, God, there's just so much wrong there. But then it goes to a freaking orgifying monster that can kill people, but every time people are around her, they're doing nothing but fucking. And it's like, what is this shit? You know? Did you know that there's an alternate ending of the Blade trilogy that has a werewolf? Yes. Yes, there was. It was after Blade disappeared and they were going into a casino where there was a vampire werewolf hybrid, and you see a little bit of it, which was pretty funny, or especially when they did the bloopers. But yeah, folks, when it comes to werewolves, I believe Underworld has the best potential, because if you can go from back to where Alexander Corvinus gets infected, it's not just told as a backstory or told from the words of others. You see it, and then we get all the way, or you could do it in like 5 or 6 seasons. First season is the origins of Alexander Corvinus and his children, or his sons. The second season is how the war officially kicks off. You can end the first season on the war starting to kick off. The second season is the recruitment of Victor, because William is unchecked right now, and Marcus needs an army of vampires. The third season, the rise of Lucian and the turning of Selene. The fourth season, the events of Underworld. Fifth season, Underworld 2. Sixth season, the aftermath, or the aftermath of the death, or after the death of Alexander Corvinus. And then the seventh and final season is 1,000 years later, where Selene finally becomes an elder. So yeah, if they could do that, you could do it in 7 fucking years. You won't have to worry about too many people aging too much, and it would just be perfect. Or you could do it as a cartoon. You do it as a cartoon, You don't have to worry about anybody aging too much. It would just be so much better in a cartoon version as well, like the anime versions that they got going on Netflix. Terminator 1 anime style in an underworld franchise. Oh, I can see that. I can plan that out and show you guys basically just or see just how that goes. Opinions on 1994 Wolf starring Jack Nicholson. That was actually a good movie. I actually thought that was a very good movie. Yep, a favorite, Rise of the Lycans and Wolfman with Anthony Hopkins. Yeah. Anthony Hopkins, I don't believe he liked being in the Wolfman makeup, but he did like how he could honestly be a bad guy. You know? I mean, my mind goes into or can actually look at a franchise and see the full blown potential of it. When I look at the Underworld franchise, goddamn, it's like, okay, this is what we got. This is how it can be made extremely better, far more consistent. And by the way, I would do this and I wouldn't charge a fucking dime. I would leave that to how much you guys would offer, and I would be suitable with the result as long as you do it the way that I suggested and you don't try to make fucking changes. The second you make changes, that entire thing is canceled. I would have a kill switch clause in the fucking contract. Opinions on Howling. As I said already, I have not seen the movie Howling. I have seen the design of the werewolf. It looks fucking stupid. A rabbit-eared werewolf. It's stupid. I would actually have to watch the movie to see if they actually managed to make the rabbit-eared werewolf look or somehow become more scary, I guess. But rabbit-eared werewolf is just stupid. Opinions on the original Lon Chaney movie. I saw that many years ago. It was actually a pretty good movie. You had some good scary shit there. I've seen other 60s, 70s werewolf movies that were pretty cool too. One with a midget, which was odd. I mean, there was some weird twisted shit with that one in the midget or with the midget in the movie. Also a house full of freaking Satan worshippers that are turning their youngest member of the family that is an adult into a freaking werewolf, where his index finger happens to be longer than his middle finger. That's how you can tell it's a werewolf. And it's like, really? That's just ridiculous. How about Leprechaun? Are we in March right now? No. But Leprechaun, good movies. The first and second one were decent and okay. They started going weird with 4 and on because it was just fucking weird. But when it comes to werewolves, folks, let me go back to my overlays. Best design. Or my favorite, or actually, scratch that. Favorite werewolf, period. Best design. Halfway decent story. Good story. Favorite werewolf movie. Interesting take on the classics. Good remake. Awesome, fucking awesome movie. Interesting take on werewolves. Those are basically my thoughts on the werewolf lores, werewolf movies, werewolf shows. I will always have a soft spot for Underworld's William Corvinus because honestly, as I said, he didn't get his time to really shine. You saw him cutting loose. You saw the viciousness of him. You saw what he could do. But him going out the way he did in Underworld 2, where Michael just tears off half of his head in a very small fight, it's like, come on now. I mean, Michael smacks him, and then William smacks Michael, and collapses freaking stone structure. It's like, okay, that was pretty good. But it's like, come on, I want to see more to that fight. But yeah, those are my thoughts on werewolf movies, folks. Tonight, the Barroom Podcast on Society Reviews channel. That's where you can see me again. I will try to be giving more content. If I'm finding content out there that I find worthy of reporting on, I will do videos on it. Otherwise, I will just save some stuff for the weekly recap. But yes, thank you to Neozoic, Vanya, Pierce, Nitro, Christian, and everybody else who came in. Friday is Orange Hat Uncensored. Sunday, hopefully, if Kate is back, we will be doing the weekly recap with a discussion of V for Vendetta. Also, later this month, in the last 2 weeks, me and Mara are back for the ones and twos, where we're talking Insidious on her channel, 8:30 p.m. on Wednesdays. And Fridays are going to be the singles, where it is first The Exorcist, the version you've never seen, and then it's going to be Nightmare Before Christmas. So thank you to everybody who's come in. Thank you to any new subscribers and whatnot. Y'all make this happen, folks. I ain't doing this for money. I'm doing this for fun, to inform, and to entertain. That's all it is to me. And I do thank all of your support, and I try to be as interactive as I can. Thank you all. You all have a wonderful day. And always remember, folks, stay humble.
Are you done? Are you done?